All right. Hello, Dr. Rob. And my um mind-altering substance is in the ancient world class. Uh right now it says my name is Ian Thomas McKnight. It's because my Zoom account doesn't work. My name is Luigi Di Filippo. That's what it's gonna be submitted under. I really can't show you that besides here, let me just for proof show you like my phone right there. Sweet. There we go. All right. So today I'm presenting on the use of cannabis in ancient Chinese and ancient Indian civilizations by Luigi Di Filippo. Here's some nice little photos, the cannabis plant, the cannabis nug, and the word cannabis. Um, so yeah, first of all, I'm going to read through my script and then I'm going to go through my sources and just go through my slideshow and then I'll show my ending credits. So yeah, I hope you guys like it. So throughout all of time, people have used natural plants like cannabis for medical, spiritual knowledge throughout rituals and cultural expressions, in addition to substances throughout history, especially during the time of ancient Chinese and Indian civilizations. The cannabis plant has played a more intricate and significant role in ancient customs than few other plants. Both ancient China and India held cannabis to very high standards. It was used not just to aid in everyday necessities, but also for spiritual and therapeutic purposes. Examining how cannabis was used in these two ancient civilizations showed a close relationship between the natural world, religious beliefs through ancient herbal remedies. In ancient China, cannabis use dates back to around 6,000 years, with the plant becoming heavily used within daily life and ritual practice. The versatile hemp plant was widely cultivated for its strong, durable fibers, which were used to make clothing, rope, and some of the earliest forms of paper. Beyond its industrial utility, cannabis held immense spiritual and medicinal significance. The Shen Nong Ben Ko Jing, a classical Chinese medical text attributed to the legendary divine farmer, provides one of the earliest descriptions of cannabis as a healing and magical plant. It records that herba cannabis sativa was used to support organ function, treat cold energy, and relieve pain. However, it also warns that high doses being consumed can cause hallucinations and erratic behavior, suggesting its use in spiritual rituals and shamanic practices. That's from Shou Zhong in 2008. Physical artifacts also support the ritualistic use of cannabis in ancient China. At the Zhirzinkel Cemetery in western China, archaeologists discovered wooden bowl-like objects specifically known as the Pamar Bazaar, which was used for burning cannabis. A little while from now, while I go through my slideshow, I will present the Pamir Bazaar. It was a bowl-like object that was used to smoke cannabis out of, especially in funeral rituals or just other general rituals. These 2,500-year-old tools provided the earliest known physical evidence of cannabis smoking in a ritualistic context. The practice of placing heated stones into wooden bowls filled with cannabis suggests that participants inhaled the psychoactive smoke during funerary ceremonies, and that was presented by Donahue in 2002, based off of a um one of the sources. If you go down to that right here, this is the Pamir Bazaar, also known as the Wooden Bazaar. And if I open up this link right here, it brings us to that bowl. This bowl right here with these hot stones were dropped in and it was filled with cannabis and it would create that smoke that was inhaled. If I scroll down, these are the burial sites where these funerals we're talking about in the Jarzankel Cemetery, which was where they had burials, and you'd see the wooden bazaar in the right over here, which was included in these, and people would smoke using this tool during those times. Back to this. With the presence of cannabis at these burial sites, it reflects how deeply integrated the cannabis plant was in Chinese spiritual life thus offering people who grieve death a way to connect with the afterlife or higher realms during periods of mourning. Similarly, with ancient China, ancient India admired cannabis just as much, where it was associated with both mythology and medicine. Hinduism believes that cannabis becomes sacred to the god Shiva because it appeared during the churning of the cosmic ocean. As a result of this, the cannabis plant also became referred to as Vieja. It was adored for its spiritual strength as well as its capacity to cure the body and mind. Cannabis was widely used in Ayurvedic medicine to relieve pain, reduce anxiety, stimulate the appetite, and promote sleep. Two, two medical preparations such as Bihang, which is a cannabis-infused drink created by the ancient Indians, and it is actually still around today. A couple of my friends who are from India, who are, I guess, international students here, say that that drink is still very popular among the Indians. And Mahun, a infused food, which is also still widely used today by the Indian civilizations and Indian cultures. These were both consumed in both therapeutic and ritual contexts. In the Arthavida, which is displayed right here, this is a photo of the ancient Arthavida text. And if I go to this website right here, I'll be able to see the ancient Arthavida. This is the photo of the Arthavida, and then if I scroll down, here's hymn 1, hymn 2. This is just all part of the Arthavida that has been translated from ancient Indian to now American, or sorry, English. The cannabis plant's deep religious association is illustrated vividly. The Arthavida is a key text of ancient Indian spiritual literature. In Book 11, lines 11 to 22, the speaker calls upon divine beings, celestial forces, and healing plants to bring protection and relief to humanity. Hemp is mentioned alongside other sacred plants like barley and darba grass and is grouped under the five kingdoms of the plant, ruled by Soma. The deity associated with sacred intoxication and purification. This passage affirms the plant's central place in Vedic spiritual and healing practices, demonstrating how cannabis was not just consumed, but sanctified through religious texts and rituals. While being separated both by geography and culture, the ancient China and India demonstrate particularly similar approaches to cannabis. In both civilizations, the plant was not simply a recreational or industrial substance, but rather a gateway between the physical and spiritual worlds. The plant served as a medium for healing, a pathway for connection in the spiritual world, and a powerful tool in rituals surrounding death, purification, and enlightenment. However, each culture developed a distinct interpretation of the special plant's powers. Chinese civilizations focused heavily on cannabis in relation to shamanistic and medical traditions rooted in holistic philosophies of balance and energy. In contrast, Indian texts elevated cannabis to divine status. Closely tied to gods, like Shiva and cosmic events in Hindu mythology, this divergence underscores the richness of cultural interpretations surrounding cannabis while reaffirming its shared importance across civilizations. In the modern world, cannabis is often discussed in legal or medical terms, but looking to the past at how ancient China and India honored this plant reminds us of a more holistic and sacred relationship. Cannabis used to represent metamorphosis, divine power, and a link to the afterlife, in addition to being a medicine or product. Examining its function in these ancient societies again helps us better comprehend not only the past, but also the human spirit's never-ending quest for knowledge and healing. So that was my script. I go through my slideshow. It was the Arthavida, and I just showed this. The Arthavida really, really helped me throughout my process and writing my script and just overall information for what I learned, because it was just it's just from the ancient Indian civilizations, and it was packed with information about how it was a plant of healing and would help those, like mentioned, get into that, out of world experience and you know, in a way, bring you to a different realm. Now, this source was the Pamir Bazaar or the Wooden Bazaar. It was an ancient cannabis smoking device that was discovered in the ancient tombs, and it was used during rituals and funerals and just things like that. And it was just an overall smoking device. Now, this is my modern secondary source for cannabis in ancient China. It is the Atomic Botany, an archaeological and historical paper written by Hugh Lin Lee. And if I go to this website, now I signed in earlier. I don't know what happened, but this is just, I don't want to run on for too long, but this is a preview of it. It's from a long, long book, and it's just a section of that book that was, written in the 70s, so somewhat modern, about how China was used in ancient India. And he is a very credible person because he's a doctor and a philosopher and a writer, and he went to school for all this, and it was just a very, very good source that helped me get a lot of very um accurate and dense information that helped me with my project. I'll go back to my slideshow. Modern secondary source, modern China. Yeah, here we go. Sorry. This is my modern secondary source, number one for cannabis in ancient India. This isn't a very long passage as well, and it was written about the history of cannabis in ancient India. And if I go to this source, this was very good because it was written again about a teacher who learned about the ancient past of India and how cannabis was used in it. And it was again very, very dense with information that I could use for my project, and all along just helped me very well. I go back to my slideshow. I have my credits. My name is Luigi Di Filippo. I was the presenter. My friend Jack Brown, who was in the class, we kind of helped each other with our slideshows to make that it was good. And then this is just the list of my sources. The Hymns of Arthavida, Book 11, The Earliest Evidence for Cannabis, Smoking Discovered in Ancient Tombs by Michelle Z. Donahue. That was the Pamir Banzar. That was just that. That was from National Geographic. And then we had the Economic Botany by Hugh Lin Lee for cannabis in ancient China. And then for the history of cannabis in ancient India, we have Mark and Tony Croak. So yeah, thank you, and that's all.